नहमदुहु व नुसल्ली अला रसूलिहिल करीम फ़ाऊज़ु बिल्लाहि मिनश शैतानिर रजीम बिस्मिल्लाहिर रहमानिर रहीम. Respected brothers and sisters, humans are made majorly of clay and mud. And if you see the characteristics of this clay or mud, that is the earth, the characteristic of mud is to stay grounded. Now when we see to it from a human point of view, we see that the human who is made out of mud and clay is supposed to be humble and down to earth. If you take clay in your hand and take it to a place of height and drop it, it will come towards the ground and settle at the ground. Now if we see this same thing from human point of view, from human characteristic point of view, it translates to being humble, it translates to being down to earth and polite. But despite of human being formed majorly out of clay, we see that humans are not humble at times. And in fact, they are arrogant as well. Now, arrogance can be because of various reasons. It can be because of color, it can be because of height, it can be because of influence, caste, class, education, and so on. In fact, arrogance can be out of nothing. And I'm sure you would connect with this point. At times we see people who are arrogant because of no reason. Out of no reason. They are arrogant for no reason at all. Now coming back to what we are speaking, humans are made out of clay and mud. When you see a child who's taken a birth right away, that child for a few months or maybe years cannot almost do anything, cannot pick up something, cannot eat or drink by itself, nothing. In fact, the child cannot even stand on its own feet, let alone walking. This is the beginning of a child. Now this same human, 20 years down the lane, 2 decades down the lane, you see that same person, now that person is able to walk, eat by himself, drink by himself, support others rather, can lift heavy weight and walk. This person is now at the peak of his strength, at the peak of his influence, at the peak of maybe wealth. At times we see that all these factors, all these characteristics builds up pride in that person, and at times this pride is translated into arrogance. Now when this arrogance is there, this same person 30 years down the lane, we see this same person possibly in a bed, is a senior citizen, 70, 75 years of age. That same person, for him, now it is difficult to climb. Now it is difficult to even walk at times. We see that some patients can't even stand without support. Now this is the story of human. The beginning is weak, the end is weak. And the small portion which is between those two ends, the humans start being arrogant for what he is. He feels that I am something, and that I factor gives arrogance. Now respected brothers and sisters, arrogance is a thing which destroys a person's personality. The world has witnessed billions of people, and millions of them have been arrogant. Neither did the arrogant last for too long, nor did their arrogance. So if we feel that we are arrogant at times, we should work on ourselves, we should work on our heart, because even a tiny part of arrogance is bad for us as individuals, is bad for the society, is bad for the humankind at large. There was a businessman in the city of Rajkot in Gujarat of India. There was a rich, wealthy young businessman, and he was an eligible bachelor. Within a few months he got married. When he got married, the new bride now is come to his home, and they both are living happily. Now the wife, she noticed that every day when her husband is going out for work, near the main entrance of their house, there was a 6 feet tall mirror. And this guy, he greets his family, used to stop near the entrance, look at himself in the mirror, wait for a while, look at his face, after a few moments, take a sigh of relief, and then move outwards. The wife saw this day 1, day 2, a few days. Eventually she was curious of what is making my husband stand and look at himself and see his face and see a mark on his face. She was curious to know the story behind this. One day while talking, when the husband was in a good mood, she said, "I want to ask you something if you don't mind." Of course, he said. She said that every day I notice, since the day I've come here, I notice that while walking outside before going to business, you stand and look into the mirror, you look at your face, and when I look at your face, I see that you look at the mark and the scar that you have on your forehead. If you don't mind, may I know what's the story behind this? Now this guy, he took a sigh of relief, smiled with a memory in his mind, and he said, "Why not?" Then he began. This is before 25 years, when I was hardly 4 or 5 years of age. We were poor back then. Right here where we are staying, the neighboring bungalow belonged to a very rich family who were staying in Mumbai, but as a sign of an old home and an old bungalow, they let the bungalow be there. Once in a year, they used to come to Gujarat, they used to come to Rajkot and enjoy their vacation here, and then again went back to Mumbai. They were the importers of toys. They used to import fancy, new kind of toys to India and then distribute it from Mumbai. One day while I was playing right outside our house, I saw that the child of that person, of that businessman of Mumbai, he was playing with a wind-up toy, the toy with the key. He just winded up the toy, put it down on the ground, and the toy started moving. As a child, I was fascinated. I wanted to play with it. I went running inside. It was summer. My mom was cooking food and she was sweating. I told her, "Mom, I have some work. Please come out." She said, "What happened?" "I want to play with that toy that our neighbor is playing with." She said, "Hold on, I'm cooking some food." I was adamant. I wanted that right away. I told my mom, "Mom, I want it right now." My mom turned off the stove, wiping her sweat, she came out. The child was with his mom. My mom went to that lady, and after greeting her, she said that my son wants to play with this toy. Now that lady gave a look to my mom. She gave a look to my mom and said, "Your child wants to play with this toy? Do you know what is the value of this toy?" Now this incident is before a few decades. And she said, "Do you know the value of this toy? This toy is of 5 rupees. Your child cannot play with this. What if he breaks it? Who will pay for it?" She arrogantly scolded my mom, and my mom had no answer to it. She took my hand and said, "Beta, let's go." I was adamant. Now a child does not understand the emotions that goes in the minds and hearts of an adult. I was adamant. I kept crying. I kept shouting and yelling, and I said, "I want to play with that toy. I want to play with that toy." My mom started cooking again, and I kept screaming. I kept yelling. I kept crying. I kept calling her. I did not let her cook the food with ease. After a point of time, my mom was frustrated. She was insulted because of me, and I did not realize any of it, and she was frustrated. And since I was being adamant, in anger, she took a small bowl and threw it towards me without looking at me. She was furious, she was angry, she was disappointed. Now this small little bowl hit my forehead here. Now when it hit my forehead, I started bleeding, and the scar that you see today is because of the small bowl that my mom threw towards me. While saying this person was almost in tears. The wife was regretting that I shouldn't have possibly asked this question because I have spoiled his good mood. The husband continued. Now coming to your question. You asked me why do I take a sigh of relief. When I see myself in the mirror, I remember this incident. I remember this incident. I speak to myself I speak to myself and I say that due to my poverty, I have got this hurt, this scar because of a wealthy person's arrogance. And then I pray to my Lord, "Oh my Lord, today I am wealthy. Do not let my wealth go into my head and make me arrogant and make my wealth a reason for a poor person's hurt, sadness or some scar." I pray this to Lord, take a sigh of relief and then walk towards business. So my dear wife, this is the reason why every day I look at this scar, remember this incident so that my wealth does not take control of me. Arrogance is such a characteristic that when it takes control of us, it spoils our entire personality. In spite of having 10 good values, arrogance spoils the entire personality. So respected brothers and sisters, let us eradicate and cleanse our mind and heart from pride and arrogance, and thereby improving our behavior and attitude towards people. Eradicating pride and arrogance will make us more polite, will make us humble, and make us stay grounded. May Allah grant us the ability to come out of arrogance and be humble and polite. Ameen wa akhiru dawana anil hamdulillahi rabbil alamin.